Hey guys, I'm so stoked to be online and finally getting this workshop running. I just wanted to say sorry for the shitty lighting. Apparently in Bali they don't really believe in sufficient lighting in houses. It's a dark and kind of stormy day outside, so there's not much natural lighting, but I've done the best that I can, and I hope that the content in the workshop makes up for the shitty lighting. I don't know if you can hear, but there's a huge thunderstorm outside. And I'm just getting an echo, so I'm going to take the headphones off now. I've done the best that I can, and I hope that the content in the workshop makes up for the shitty lighting. Sorry guys, just 1 second, I'm just going to deal with the huge thunderstorm outside. And I'm just getting an echo, so I'm going to take the headphones off now. I've done the best that I can, and I hope that the content in the workshop makes up for the shitty lighting. Sorry guys, just 1 second, I'm just going to deal with the huge thunderstorm outside. And I'm just getting an echo, so I'm going to take the headphones off. I've done the best that I can, and I hope that the content in the workshop makes up for the shitty lighting. Sorry guys, just 1 second, I'm just going to deal with the huge thunderstorm outside. Firstly, I wanted to say that I'm really stoked to be able to kind of widen my reach with you guys and be able to, put something online and not just in small towns and kind of cater to the people that have been asking for these workshops and stuff like that. I'm just going to ask if anyone can hear that echo. Can you just write me down and I can see if it's coming through you guys too? Sorry about that, guys. Should be big. So, all right, guys, perfect. So, sorry about that. But what I was saying was, sorry about the shitty lighting, for starters. Secondly, I'm really stoked to be able to kind of widen my reach and work with people all over the world and the people that have really been asking for workshops from me. And I really hope that you get something out of this, not just in a sense where you get something out of the workshop and then you feel inspired or even motivated for a week or so and then walk away and forget all about it, but in the sense that we actually transform something within you, and that you're then able to take away and transform your mind and your life. So first I just want to take a second to talk about the subconscious mind, because so many people don't realize that when you're creating your life, and I know in the promoting for this I talked a lot about creating your life your way. So people don't realize that the thoughts they think, not just the conscious thoughts they think, but what's in the unconscious mind is also creating. So I have so many people that give me my most dreaded statement. I try and be positive. I try and wake up in the morning and I try and choose joy, and nothing works out for them. But can you guys see that if you choose joy on a surface level, and under the surface is misery, is sadness, is jealousy, is anger, then that's what you're going to be creating. So you want to start to dive into your unconscious mind, dive deep, and have the courage to actually have a look at anything that you're thinking. Have the courage to actually dive in there and face what it is that you're actually feeling. That's what I want to give you guys. I want to give you guys the permission to be able to dive deep, the permission to be able to be totally honest and integral with yourself. There's been a lot of talk in Bali recently about integrity, and my view on integrity isn't that you're going to do what you said you're going to do or anything like that, but it's about lining up the subconscious mind with the conscious mind. It's about being totally okay with what's in your subconscious mind. It's about loving everything you think. That's integral. That's how you're going to live a life that, you know, you can consciously and deliberately create at ease. It should be easy to deliberately create. People think that they need to have rituals and they need to do all this crazy shit to manifest. But what people don't realize or fail to accept is that you're manifesting and you're creating constantly. Every thought, every word, every picture that comes up in your mind is conscious, is creating. And what you want to start to do now with the help of this workshop, with the help of these tools, is to start creating deliberately. To start really taking a look at your unconscious beliefs, really diving in and discovering, like, what am I thinking? What do I believe? Like, that's the other thing. Like, people think that beliefs are concrete. People think beliefs are cemented. People believe things, find evidence for their beliefs, and then tell me that it must be true. But the thing is that when you believe something, you're going to go and look for the evidence. So it's like, how about you believe things that work for you? How about you start to believe that everything's always working out for you? How about you start to believe all that stuff rather than what I see most people do, and what's happening in the personal development industry at the moment is everyone's telling everyone that they need to be positive, which is an interesting thought, because if, like I said before, if you wake up in the morning and decide that you have to choose joy, and underneath the joy is the sadness and the anger and the hurt, then life doesn't discriminate. Life doesn't go, oh, they're trying to choose joy, so it's fine. Like, life takes what you're actually feeling and throws it back at you. Life gives you feedback based on who you are, like what your subconscious mind is kind of doing. So it's like, my intention for you guys is to be able to use journaling as a means to get to know your subconscious mind. So the first way to get to know your subconscious mind is using a technique that's called writing faster than your conscious mind can keep up. So this is a tool that you can actually use every day. I like to tell people to kind of run with it and do 10 minutes a day for at least a month or something like that, because this is something that really opens up that flow between your unconscious and your conscious mind. And when I first started doing this, I realized that the more integral I got in my writing, the more integral I became as a person. So the more I lined up my unconscious mind with my conscious mind in my journaling, the more that just became a habit. Journaling for me isn't necessarily the be-all and end-all, but it's a way to train your mind. So for me, I used to, like most people, be thinking things in the unconscious mind and not even realize that I was thinking it. I would be thinking it for weeks, and then I'd go, oh, fuck, I've actually been thinking that. That's amazing. When I started journaling, it's like you write faster than your conscious mind can keep up. It comes straight from the unconscious. You lift the filter between the two, and it all comes flowing out. So in this exercise, what I ask of you guys is to totally lift the filter. Totally lift what you think you should write, and write anything. There's this really funny kind of thing that seems to happen with most people, because everyone that I speak to about journaling seems to do it. But they continuously write in their journals as if someone might read it. So they're writing in their journals and they're filtering what they're saying. They don't want to say, I hate this person. They don't want to or maybe it's because they think they need to be positive. But the thing is that what I want to teach you guys is, for this exercise, you don't need to be positive. You don't need to try and cover up your sadness or your hurt or your anger. This is where you just let it rip. This is where you let your unconscious mind guide the way, and you dive in and you face the demons. This is where you get to just be totally and utterly honest. Because for me, it's like, if I can't be honest in my journal with myself, then where can I be? That's integrity right there. Learning to be totally and utterly honest with yourself at all times, and not filtering anything that kind of goes on in your journal. Nothing needs to be filtered. It's inner peace is about loving everything you think. It's not about only thinking loving or peaceful thoughts. It's about being at peace with everything you think. So start to realize that if you're at peace with everything you think, then you're at peace with everything you write, and you can totally just go for it. You can totally just start and let whatever comes out come out. I've got pages in my journal that are like, I hate him, he thinks blah blah blah, and I'm blaming and I'm being a victim, and I don't encourage people to blame in life. I don't encourage people to be a victim in life. But this exercise is to get it all out, and then I'll teach you guys how to steer it in the right direction. But you can't transform an emotion that isn't already, that you're not admitting to. So you can't transform an emotion that you haven't admitted you've got. So what I want you guys to do is start by writing. I'm going to give you maybe 5 minutes, and if you don't have a pen and paper, just run and grab one now. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and I want you guys to practice this exercise. I want you guys to write faster than your conscious mind can keep up. And I want you to not filter anything. And the beauty of this online stuff is that you guys are at home. You guys aren't in a group where people are around and it's like you can't, get emotional, or you can't really you guys are in a space where you can fully dive in and just explore yourself. So what I want you to do now is take these next 5 minutes, use them. Don't sit there and stare out the window. Don't sit there and wait for the time to pass. But I want you guys to actually do this exercise. And I mean, I'm not there. I can't watch over you. Make sure that you do it, especially if you're watching the recording of this. But what I recommend is don't do yourself the disservice of not doing it. So dive in and explore your subconscious mind. And don't lift the pen off the paper, apart from to start a new letter. But don't lift the pen off the paper until the 5 minutes is done. I want you guys to totally just give it your all. And if you run out of things to say, then you just write, oh, this exercise is so boring, blah, 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 blah. Just keep writing. That's the beauty of this. If you're continually writing, then the juicy stuff will flow. But right now we just need to lift the filter and get you guys into the act of journaling. So I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes from now. I want you guys to really dive deep and use this as an opportunity to explore yourself and see what's going on in your subconscious mind. So 5 minutes from now, go for it. All right, so normally in a workshop situation, I would kind of go around and ask people how they went. But I'm just going to go off, previous workshops that I've run and like regular clients that I work with one-on-one and say that a couple of you could continue writing forever, and a couple of you could, had trouble and kind of ended up writing, oh, this is an annoying technique and blah, blah, blah. So whatever the situation, that's a really amazing technique to use daily to lift that filter. If you did that and just that, I guarantee your life would change, because the filter between your conscious and your unconscious mind becomes less, and you become more in, you just immediately become more in tune with who you are as a person. Your unconscious mind begins to open up and you get to deal with whatever the demons are in your unconscious mind. So now that you're used to free-flowing, I want you guys to ask yourselves, what's in the way of everything that you desire? I want you to kind of get to know yourself right now. Get really juicy and get intimate and get to know yourself really freaking well. Understand that the only thing in between everything you desire and you right now is you. So what is it exactly that's stopping you from getting there? What beliefs are stopping you from getting there? I want you guys to build and cultivate the courage to dive into your subconscious mind once again and ask yourself, like, what am I doing? Why am I stopping myself? Why am I sabotaging myself? Why am I afraid of success? Why am I this? Why am I that? I want you guys to see that the first exercise that we did was a really amazing opener. So we get to lift the filter. And then this exercise is really amazing because we get to dive in and see what's standing in the way while we're already kind of open, we're exposed. I've done this at workshops before, and some of the feedback that I get has been something like, I felt like crying and I didn't want to cry in front of people, so I held it in. And then the next exercises were really hard because I held it in. So that's the level that we're playing at right now. That's where we're at. We're at the point where it might bring tears. Because if you want life transformation, you've got to kind of dive in and actually see what's going on and have the courage to look it in the eye and decide that you want to change it. For me, I mean, nothing in my life would have changed if I didn't have the courage to dive in. I mean, I didn't give you guys a little rundown at the start because I love the content of this workshop and I just wanted to dive straight in. But with my own life, I was at a point where I was smoking cigarettes every day, drinking every day, taking drugs at least once or twice a week. I was really, I had a super kind of toxic relationship. The man himself wasn't toxic, but the relationship that we were living was totally toxic. And when you come from that world and playing a victim constantly, I was thinking the other day about when I used to go to work and I would look for things that everyone had done wrong so that I could be angry about them. I had so much anger within me. I was so hurt. And the only way that I got to where I am now is by totally confronting all of those emotions. By journaling every freaking day. I went through a phase where I worked minimum hours, just enough to kind of pay the bills, and literally journaled for hours a day. My every afternoon I would go to Sawtell Headland, and I would get home, and my housemate Ange would say, "Have you been at Sawtell?" And I'd say, "Yep." And the next day I'd do it all again. I'd go there, I'd sit in my car, and I'd journal for hours, like, because I got curious about my own mind. I got curious about what I was creating. I could see out in the external world what I was creating, and I didn't necessarily like it all, or I thought I could do better. So I got totally curious and dove in every day to what it was. And I mean, sometimes there was nothing there. I'm not one to go searching for problems that aren't there, but I am one to have a regular practice so that when the problems arise, you know exactly what to do. I am one that thinks that everyone should be able to cultivate the courage when necessary to dive in. I am one that believes that diving in and staring at your emotions is basically all you need. People don't understand that it's not the emotions that's the problem, it's your resistance to them. So if you have the courage to dive in and just stare at them, then they'll fade away into nothingness. Emotions aren't there to take hold of you. That's your resistance. So now I want you guys to you know, find that courage within that I had to find, that will create you a better life. Find the courage to feel. People don't feel these days. People are in a positive thinking movement where they feel like feeling's bad. But what I want you guys to recognize is that feeling's life. That's what we're here for, the contrast. Like, I want you guys to understand that if we didn't have the hurt and the sadness and the anger, we wouldn't have the joy and the beauty and the love. So it's like, let's get used to feeling the whole range of emotions. Let's get used to feeling it all. So with that in mind, I'm going to give you guys another few minutes to dive in and really feel it all. I want you guys to dive in again, right faster than your conscious mind can keep up, and really feel it all. So you've got 3 or 4 minutes to dive in, get juicy, get intimate, cry if you need to. Like, I can't stress how important it is to not hold back right now. Because if you want transformation, then you need to play full out. So with that in mind, dive in. I'll let you know when to stop and see how you go, see what comes up for you. All right, so start to bring it to a close now. And if you're watching the recording and you have more to write, then pause and continue, and then press play when you're done. If you are watching live right now, then and you haven't quite finished up, make a note to go back to this later tonight or tomorrow, and make sure you kind of pick up and see see what else is hiding under there. But now that you've owned it, now that you've actually kind of owned the emotion, that's the guiding force to your life right now, it's time to transform it. So that's the beauty of being able to own your emotions, because then you get to transform them, right? So how do you transform an emotion? You surrender to it. Like I said before, resistance is something that perpetuates emotion. So surrender to it. Allow it to just feel it. And I guarantee you, if you feel an emotion properly, it'll drift away. And by feel it, I don't mean I'm sad, so I'm going to binge watch TV, drink red wine, eat heaps of chocolate, and that's me feeling my emotions. I mean, sit in stillness and write or meditate and totally feel it. And you know what? They transform themselves. But we also have a really cool journaling technique that will also help you to actually mold the feeling. Sometimes it's hard to surrender, but if you have this tool, this technique, it's one of the best things that I ever learned. I went through a really a big period of time where every time something went wrong, every time I felt a certain emotion, I wrote them down, and I'll come back and do this technique with it. It's seriously a game changer. So all you want to do is start with the second technique that we did, and kind of get your emotions out there. Just go for it and feel it fully. Then the question you need to ask yourself isn't how do I think positively or how do all of that bullshit. What you want to ask yourself is, what thoughts can I think that bring ease? Or what thoughts can I think that bring relief? That's where you want to start. The reason the whole positivity movement is such a load of shit isn't because you don't want to feel good. It's because you can't be feeling shit and mask it with feeling good. What we've got to do is mold our emotions. We've got to gently, they're delicate, we've got to gently build a bridge and cross it to joy. You can't try and cheat your way to joy. You got to feel your way to joy. You can't go under your emotion. You can't go over it. You can't go around it. You've got to go through it. So that's what I mean by feel your emotions, and then use this technique to mold your emotion to something better. So firstly, you want to ask yourself, what thoughts can I think that bring ease? What about, there's nothing I can do right now? Whenever there's something wrong in my life and I think about that thought, there's nothing that I can or have to do right now, it brings ease and relief instantly. Oh, okay, that's relieving. I have no control over any of it. That's relieving. It brings a sense of ease, right? I was having a conversation with a client today, and I was saying she had about 4 problems that went wrong in the last week, and she was saying this week's just been so intense, blah blah blah. And I said, how many more problems do you need life to throw at you until you fucking surrender? How many more problems do you need to come up until you go, oh, I don't have control. I just relinquish control. I totally surrender. Whatever. I understand that, life's happening, and I can co-create, and I can focus, and I can deliberately focus my attention on that which I want and choose to feel good. But I have no control over this life, so I might as well just surrender. So those are the types of thoughts to think that feel relieving. And these types of things are different for every scenario. There's different thoughts that feel relieving. And once you finish with thoughts that feel relieving, go one step further and search for thoughts that feel a little bit hopeful. For me, this exercise is like a feeling kind of thing, like, what thoughts can I think? And then I let them just come to me. Let them just come into my mind and go, yep, that feels relieving. That feels easy. So allow these thoughts to come to you now, and write down in this moment any thoughts that you can think about the prior thing that you wrote that feels relieving. Write down anything that feels easy. My favorite one is, there's nothing I have to do right now. Feels relieving every time. Hopeful. I'm excited for the opportunities that have been born out of this whole situation. I'm excited to start from the ground up. I totally trust that everything will work out, because everything has always worked out for me. I'm still here, right? I want to talk to you guys about feedback a little bit. So feedback will help now because it'll give you the instance for when you should use these types of techniques. So feedback comes in two ways: how you feel and what shows up. So how you feel being emotions, obviously, and what shows up in your life being outer circumstances. So what I would do is start to take note of your feedback always. Remember how I said that I went through a phase where anytime that I didn't feel good, I would write it down and I would do this technique on them. So that's feedback. So get relentless about searching for your feedback. Anytime something goes wrong, anytime you feel like shit, anytime you feel good, that's positive feedback. But get relentless about searching for your feedback, and anytime you feel shit, make a note of it in your phone. I always have notes in my iPhone, and I just write it down. And that's how you'll change your life, by paying attention to the feedback that life throws at you. So, example, I had a client today that the one that I told you about had 4 separate problems. So the 4 separate problems seemed like separate problems. This has happened, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. The 4 problems evoked the same emotion. The 4 problems evoked the same how am I supposed to please everyone emotion. I just can't please everyone. So then you dive into the emotion. And you get to do this. This is similar to a focus game. I've modeled this technique off a focus game. So you get to focus game that emotion. You get to write about why you think you need to please everyone. And then you get to feel your way towards it, towards what you want, which is ease and relief. So what I would do if I was you guys is get totally relentless, like I said, about your own feedback. Make a section in the notes of your phone and write down anytime you feel shit. I used to happen, sometimes someone would say something, or I would see a situation, and I wouldn't necessarily be angry or super hurt or something, but I'd feel this little kind of niggle somewhere. Like I would just feel like, oh, this doesn't totally agree with me right now. So I'd make a note of it in my phone and then choose to explore it. So I would use the write faster than your conscious mind can keep up to explore what was going on and allow the emotion to fully surface. And remember, you've already been writing faster than your conscious mind can keep up every day. So your conscious mind and your unconscious mind are already linked in a way. The filter's already lifted. So it's not that hard to dive in and see what's going on. So you get to use that to totally dive in and see what's going on, bring the emotion up. And then, okay, how can I find relief? How can I find ease? The amazing thing about feedback is that it brings up stuff that's already within you. So you don't get feedback on anything that's not already within you. So feedback is an opportunity to further refine your life so that it's better than it was before. Feedback is an opportunity to refine always. So you don't get bad feedback. And the coolest thing about feedback is that the more feedback you get, the stronger the message is. Like my client today, who had 4 messages saying, deal with this shit. Before our session, she thought that meant that she was doing something wrong. She thought that, like, she's like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what's life trying to tell me? During our session, I got to tell her that obviously the more powerfully you walk towards everything that you desire, anything that's contradictory to that will arise. So anything that's contradictory to exactly what you want, to exactly who you were born to be, will arise, and will arise with force. So instead of greeting those arisings with dismay, greet them with love and go, thank fuck you're telling me exactly what I don't want. Thank fuck that you're pointing out exactly what's within me that's keeping me from my desires. That's feedback, and that's being able to use feedback at a super high level to constantly and continuously refine your life. That's how life gets good, by feedback, through emotions. I was talking to someone recently that said that they've been kind of studying personal development sort of stuff for years, and they hadn't yet discovered the benefit of diving into your emotions because they thought it was all about positivity and feeling good. And for me, like, I was so confused because I've never run a workshop or done a coaching session that's not on emotions. So I was like, what have you been learning and what have you been teaching? Because for me, it's all about emotions. That's all there is. There's feedback. There's emotions. And then you get to refine and lose anything that's in the way. So that's what feedback is, an opportunity for you to ditch anything that's in the way of you getting towards what you want, of you moving towards what you want. So as I said, like, greet feedback with open arms, greet negative feedback with open arms, because all it is opportunity. So if you haven't already, write down a few thoughts that bring ease to your previous technique. Write down a few thoughts that I said, the ones, there's nothing I have to do right now. I have no control over the situation. All I can do is surrender. I feel somewhat grateful that this has come up because I know about feedback and I know that it's just an opportunity to refine. When you guys get feedback, when you guys are practicing feedback, that's when your whole life changes. That's when you get to use your own emotions and life to guide you on an epic path. That's when you get to be the type of people that only choose to do things that feels good. I have a rule in my life. I only act on inspiration. I was talking to Michael today about how we never really make decisions. I mean, we moved to Bali last year, and it didn't feel like we ever made a decision about that. It felt like life gave it something. We acted on inspiration. It never feels like I have to make a strong decision, especially not a decision where sacrifice is involved. We're talking recently about sacrifice too, and the reason that I don't like the word sacrifice is because it implies that you have to give up something that you want for something else, or to do something that you don't necessarily want to do. So what I want to show you guys is that you don't necessarily have to make sacrifices in your life. I want you guys to get to the point where you've followed your feedback so well that you're at the point where you can act on inspiration. Inspired action. I just take inspired action. And that's what leads you to exactly where you want to be. So now that you have a solid foundation of ease and relief and natural appreciation, can you see how the past 3 techniques were demonstrations of being able to almost deconstruct the patterns of thought? The deconstructive techniques. So if you imagine a garden bed and there's weeds in there, you don't just go and plant new flowers. You weed the garden, then you plant your flowers. So in the garden of your mind, you weed the garden, you deconstruct the thoughts, you write faster than your conscious mind can keep up, you find ease and relief, and you use that as the foundation to plant your flowers. And now we get to plant the flowers in our mind. That's what we get to do here on Earth, living as humans. It's like, still blows me away that that's what we get to do. We get to create an atmosphere that's conducive to what you want. But first I want to ask you guys, what do you want? What do you actually want? I was having a discussion with a bunch of yogis the other day, and it came up that apparently some people believe that desire is the problem, and if we had no desire, then we would all be happy. Desire is the most natural thing occurring to humans. Desire is totally natural. So are you going to try and squash something that's totally natural? Are you going to try and minimize your real desires? Or are you going to love your desires and harness your mind so that you can deliberately create? You're going to learn how to deliberately focus your attention on exactly that which you want so that you create an atmosphere that's conducive to it falling in your lap. People feel desire and then they realize that means that they don't have the thing that they're wanting. And then they feel a discord, they feel uncomfortable, they feel shit, or they feel sad. And they think that it's the desire's fault. They think the problem is that they're desiring. The discord isn't an indicator that you shouldn't desire. The discord is an indicator that you're disaligned with that which you desire. So the feedback isn't to stop desiring, the feedback is to get in line with it, to line up with it. So how do you line up with it? Once you've actually allowed yourself to totally dream big, to totally get in touch with what you actually desire, then there comes a point where you have to choose to feel good now. Desire is the most natural thing. So get okay with having desires that you don't yet have, because once you achieve that, then you're going to have more desires. It's never done. It's a never-ending process. It's never done. So get okay with having desires. That's the first step. Understand that we all have desires that we haven't achieved yet, because that's how life is. That's the process of life. And if you cut yourself off from desire because of that, then you're going to be more miserable because you don't get to play. That's what life is. We're here to play. So jump on the bandwagon and start playing, start desiring, start seeking, start looking within and wondering, what do I actually want? What do you want and why do you want it? Or how are you going to feel when you get it? We only ever want something because we think it'll cause us to feel a certain way. So if that's the case, then find a way to feel good now. So what I want you guys to do first, before we dive into this next technique, is figure out what you actually want. So I want you guys to just go batshit crazy and just write a list of all the things you want. Don't filter, don't, just write a list. You've got, 1 or 2 minutes to go for it now. Okay, so you should have a good list of what you want now. Now, is there something on your list that if you had that, everything else would kind of fall into place? Is there something big or a vision or something like that that you can work with like that? If so, grab that. If not, choose the thing that you're most wanting. And I want you guys to close your eyes now and imagine that you had exactly what you want. Imagine how you would go about your day, your daily life. Imagine how you would move through the world if you had the thing that you want. And now I want you to kind of put a name or word to the feeling that it is. In other words, how do you feel once you've got the thing that you're wanting? Okay, so open your eyes now. And here's the thing about deliberate creation. It's all about focus, right? So for me, I personally believe that your ability to focus is directly related to the quality of your life. Because your ability to focus is responsible for what shows up in your life. So focus your way into the feeling state of whatever it is, the way that it would feel to have exactly what you want. For example, say you want financial freedom. You want heaps of money. How are you going to feel when you get that heaps of money? It's going to be freeing, right? You're going to feel freedom. So now all we have to do is find a way to feel freedom now. That's creating an atmosphere that's conducive to exactly what you want falling in your lap. Life is about desire, focusing on desire and finding a way to feel good while you're getting there on the way. Because like I said, what people do now is realize that they don't have what they want, and then they feel shit about it. They think that desire is the problem. So we cut ourselves off. We cut off the hunger for desire. But get okay with desire. Get okay with being hungry. Get okay with achieving one thing, getting exactly what you asked for, and then asking for something else. It's the most natural thing that happens, because can you see that when something happens that you don't want, when something happens that you don't agree with, when you're struggling financially, it causes you to realize that you want financial freedom. There's no, like, it happens totally naturally. So the people that have a problem with desire are kind of dumb, because they're trying to cut themselves off from something that happens totally naturally. Because if you're poor and living on the streets, how could you not naturally think, oh, well, I'd probably rather not be doing this? That's what happens. The contrast allows us to realize what it is that we want, and then we get to figure out what we want, find a way to feel good now while we move towards it. So it's always a gift. Desire is a gift. So get hungry with what you want, and use the power of your focus to create an atmosphere that's conducive to what you want falling in your lap. So I want to teach you guys a super powerful technique called rampaging. It's originally from Abraham Hicks. They use it as a verbal technique, but I've kind of adapted it to be a journaling technique. This is, I swear, this is how I created my incredible relationship. Because before that, I told you guys I was at Sawtell Headland every day journaling. And part of the journaling was the faster than your conscious mind can keep up kind of thing. And I was totally exploring my mind. But part of it was also reconstructing in a way that I was totally getting to the feeling place of everything that I desired. And for a while, I was totally okay with not having a relationship. I really enjoyed being single, and I was learning so much, and I figured that being in a relationship would kind of bring too much feedback for where I was at right at that point. And then I got to a point where I realized, okay, I've got the tools and the techniques that are necessary to guide me through a relationship. I figured that all I need is the tools, the techniques, and the grace to navigate my way through my deepest fears. I figured that I had all that was necessary to dive into a relationship, so I might as well give it a go. So I figured, like, how would a relationship make me feel? How would that feel, being in a relationship, being loved, being secure, being held? And I started rampaging about love and relationships. Now, what a rampage is when you go on a rampage about the feeling of something, so much so that you end up feeling it in your body. So I want to give you guys an example because it's a little bit easier than trying to explain it to you, but I'll give you an example of a rampage that I've written before. This is a rampage of love and relationships. I love the feeling of love. I love the feeling of loving my friends. I love having friends like Michael and Ange in my life. It feels good. It feels so good to know that I am loved. It feels so good to have connection like that. It feels so good to seek deep, true, honest connection over anything superficial or surface level. It feels so good to love and be loved, and it overwhelms my whole body. It feels so freaking good to allow myself to feel this kind of love. I've never allowed myself to feel it fully before because I was scared. It feels so good to allow it to engulf my whole body and emanate from the core of my being. I feel so excited to invite an intimate love into my life, a relationship where the love is so true that it becomes part of me, a relationship where we don't grow apart but we continuously and deliberately grow together, a relationship where we dream together and cry together and love together, a relationship bound by the boundless feeling of total and complete love. I'm so excited to have this tangible expression of love I have in this life, the manifestation of the love that I'm feeling right now. In this moment, I don't even care if it comes because it feels so freaking good to feel this right now. It feels so good to be joyfully waiting in anticipation. My impatience is turning to eagerness, and I'm excited to find out where and when and who and all the details. But for now, I'm just going to continue to feel good with love in my heart. So a rampage, if done effectively, will get you to the place where you're at. I don't even care if the physical manifestation shows up, because right now I feel so freaking good. So you can see that you can kind of use desire as like a motivation in a sense. I don't really like the word motivation, but it kind of fits in this instance, like the motivation to feel good now. And then you get to feel good now. Like how's that? The only catch for getting exactly what you want is feeling good about it now, feeling good without it. So it's like, isn't it amazing that that's the way that life works, that we get to actually feel good now? I want to show you guys a rampage of appreciation. This is a super simple rampage that you guys can do like whenever. Deconstruct first. The way that these techniques are done is kind of in two sections. So the first three techniques that I taught were kind of like deconstructive, like we talked about weeding the garden of your mind. So preferably what you're going to do is weed the garden of your mind before you plant the flowers. But sometimes the flowers are so fun that everyone wants to skip the weeding. But what I would recommend is to at least do 10 minutes of the writing faster than your conscious mind can keep up, to kind of maintain your garden weeded. And then when you're already feeling good, these sorts of things, rampages and stuff like that, are more for like when you're already feeling good, you want to amplify it. This is an amplification of feeling good, because these don't work if you're feeling shit, because then we're doing what the annoying positive people do and pretending to feel something that we don't feel. So this is the type of thing where you've built the foundation, the solid foundation of ease and relief and natural appreciation, and then you dive into an appreciation rampage like this one. I love that I get to live in this amazing house with gardens and staff and aircon and this daybed and everything that I've always craved in the house. I love that I got to move to Bali and nothing felt like a decision. I love that when I follow my heart, when I line up with opportunity, nothing ever feels like a push. It feels like the next logical step. I love that in this life there's no sacrifice, because sacrifice implies that I had to give something up that I loved, and for something that I didn't want to do. And I never have to sacrifice. When you follow your heart, you don't have to sacrifice. I love that nothing is a sacrifice. I love that this house just fell in our lap at the cheapest price we could have imagined. I love that new clients are just coming out of the woodworks, and I love that I get to love them as much as they love the work we do together. I love that I get to make money through having conversations, and I get to help others build a life that they love just as much as I love mine. I love the feeling of being on Earth, of being part of this planet, of human race. I love the feeling of embracing being human. I don't want to transcend it or become enlightened, so I don't have to deal with the said confinement of being a human. I want to embody it. I want to be totally and wholly in my body and experience this life as fully as I can. I feel so lucky that I get to do that. I feel so lucky that I've got to do that for nearly 23 years. I feel so lucky to be where I am right now. I'm so grateful for every freaking experience that brought me to now. I feel so lucky to have a man that I love so freaking dearly that walks with me in life, a man that holds me and loves me and offers me security. I feel so lucky to have a man, but to also know that I don't need a man to be so robust that anything could happen and I know I could deal with it. I feel so lucky to be me. So that's a rampage of appreciation. Like, can you feel the momentum that's in that? Can you feel that when I'm kind of ranting, that kind of style, you get to the point where that's just embodying you and that's just engulfing your whole body and that's all that you feel. And for me, like, that's life. Like, sometimes, like, these days I literally just sit on my daybed and just rampage because I love it so much and it feels good, and I know that it's good for my life because that's focus, that's deliberate creation, that's using the power of your focus to create anything that you want in your life. I don't even know when my life got this good. It just did somehow. So you get to focus your attention on that which you desire, and you get to feel good now. So I want you guys to practice the rampages. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to go for an epic rampage. And wait, one more thing. When you start a rampage, if you're not necessarily in the total vicinity of diving into a rampage, start general. So how general can you be? I'm grateful that I get to, my body breathes itself. I'm lucky that there's oxygen everywhere and I don't have to do a thing. I'm lucky that there's food in my fridge right now. I feel love for my family always. I feel glad that there's trees outside. See how general you can go, and then when you go general, then you're more specific, more specific, more specific, more specific, and then that's where your focus is. So start general and dive into something more specific and focus your attention on that which it is that you want. So rampage now on the emotion that you felt earlier when you closed your eyes and imagined that you had what you wanted. So whatever that was, rampage on that, and dive in now, and I'll stop you in 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, so finish up where you're at now. And I just want to share with you guys a quote from my beloved boyfriend, Michael King, from Holy Human. Everything you desire isn't in a different time, it's in a different emotional state. Change your state, change your life. So that's saying, like, there's nothing between, there's not time between you now and you when you get what you want. It's an emotional state. Emotional states are totally changeable right now. You can change your state. You just witnessed that. You know, half an hour ago, you were writing about things that hold you back. You were possibly crying, possibly in a kind of world of pain, or hurt, or anger, or sadness, or whatever. And now you're rampaging on a positive emotion. That's changing your state. So how are you guys going to implement these techniques so that they actually change your life? I mean, it's all well and good to sit here and do it in the workshop and go, oh, wow, these techniques work, but are you going to actually be able to do it in your everyday life? Are you going to actually have the commitment, the willingness to go for it? Are you going to actually write down your feedback and deal with it, do the inner work before you do the outer work? That's what it's all about. It's about getting the feedback and doing the inner work. Now, understanding that you don't need to control every outside circumstance. You don't need to control everything and change everyone else, but just do the inner work and decide to feel good now. And then the outer stuff just corrects itself. I was thinking, and Michael and I were having a conversation about the sun recently, about how the sun doesn't discern when it's shining upon weeds or rice fields. It grows them both evenly. It gives them both the same amount of energy, and they both grow. The same undiscerning light is within you. So what are you going to focus on? What are you going to choose to shine your light of awareness on? What we want to do is briefly shine the light of awareness on that which you don't want, so you can transform it into an epic emotion like love or joy, or, you know, hope, even anticipation, eagerness, those types of emotions. So first we've got to own the emotions, so before you can transform them. That's key. I'm so sick of this positivity movement. I'm so over it. So sick of hearing, oh, I wake up in the morning and I try and be positive and nothing works out for me. Like, well, no shit, genius. Because you're trying to do something that isn't possible. You don't just get to just bypass your emotions and just pretend you feel good and that's good enough. You got to feel them. You got to totally dive in there and be able to transform them. Like, have the freaking courage to face your emotions. Have the freaking willingness to go, oh, I feel shit, I'm going to write about it. I'm going to sit with it. I'm not going to distract myself. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to go to yoga. I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to get a drink. I'm going to sit with them and actually feel them. So many people don't do that. Feel your freaking emotions. Have the courage to feel it all. The good, the bad, all of it. Because it's all good, really. It's like feedback. It's all good. It's all opportunity for refinement. It's all opportunity for refinement. That's all life is. Continual refinement. No one does life and does it perfectly and doesn't need to refine, because you evolve. You're continually evolving. You're not a stagnant being. You're evolving. So continue to take note of the feedback, listen to the feedback, and refine based on that. It's all good. All of it. So this has been really, really fun and really, really weird, because it's weird to talk to a computer and there's no response, which has been super different for me compared to my other workshops where I kind of make people share everything and force people to speak up and tell me how they went. So it's been an interesting experiment for me. And I think I'm definitely going to do it again. It's been super fun. But I wanted to share with you guys that my total, I guess you can call it passion, what I really love in my own business is the coaching side of things. So I love the coaching for the accountability, for the, you get to dive in with people and have full conversations that change lives. I want to invite you guys to join a one-on-one coaching program that I'm offering for a limited time called Soul Script. It's a 4-week intense coaching, so it includes 4 sessions. We focus on one technique and area of life each week, and you get to obviously pick my brains. You get to have total accountability. I've made the program cheap because I want you guys to have the experience. It's $250 for the full 4 weeks, so that's 4 sessions for $250, which is what I normally charge for one session. So you won't get good coaching anywhere cheaper than this. And it isn't just writing techniques. Obviously, it's total life coaching as well. It's life immersion, which means we transform your mind and transform your life, of course. So I want you guys to imagine now that you've done the program with me for a month and just see, where's your life at? Where are we able to go together? How good can good get? Because so many people don't know how good can get. If you like the look of that and it all sounds good, then jump on board. Just send me an email at hello@hannahsaddleton.com and let me know that you're in. Otherwise, if it's not the right time for coaching for you, or you've got other plans, or you think that you can have a go and dive in, and you're totally willing to use these techniques, relentlessly, then be my guest and go for it. And still, send me an email and let me know what you thought of the broadcast. I'd love to hear your feedback, and if you enjoyed it, a testimonial too. But I just want to say thank you all so much for showing up. You guys give me a job, and like, I get to do what I love, which is teaching. Sorry about the fuck up at the start with the sound and also the shitty lighting. I said at the start that apparently Balinese don't believe in sufficient lighting because every room in our house has like one shitty lamp. So this is the best I could put together on a stormy afternoon in Bali. But thank you so much for showing up and doing something for yourself. So I would love to coach you guys in the Soul Script program. So drop me a line at hello@hannahsaddleton.com and let me know how you found the past hour and 15 minutes. Thanks so much for joining me, guys.